Alright, so as you can see right now, I am right here where my official guidelines are. I want you all to get very familiarized with this because a lot of people do not know how to use the ICD-10-CM Guidelines. And I want to show you a quick method of getting through it on your CPC exam. Yes, I am sick and I'm still here to show you what you need to know right now. Alright, section 1. We all know that they're going to ask about coding guidelines, right, on the test. They're going to ask about that. And I think it's about, 7 questions of the coding guidelines? You all, section 1 right here talks about the convention, coding guidelines, and the chapter-specific guidelines, okay? I highlighted A as well because that's where it starts off with the convention guidelines. I highlighted this because they're going to ask you that question on the test. You might get any one of these, but this is where I was asked about identifying the manifestation codes. I was asked it, so I highlighted that because that's what manifestation codes would look like in the tabular list brackets. Right here, you can see I highlighted B for general coding guidelines because that's another location that you need to know. And then you got C, your chapter specific coding guidelines. I'm going to show you something real quick. Right here where I got my little tabs and stuff at, they're going to ask you about this. The use, abuse, and dependency. They're going to ask you a true or false question. You need to read these and make sure the question that they asking you, which one is true, is which matches this, okay? I'm going to show you this one. They're going to ask you about this because they asked me on my test. You need to know about that as well. That's why I did it this way, because it's much easier. If you writing all that stuff down, you ain't gonna know what's going on. Alright, now a lot of y'all be asking about the practice questions. This was on the practice question. This is one of the practice test questions, where it asks if a type 1 STEMI converts to N-STEMI due to thrombolytic therapy, it is still coded as STEMI. That's the answer. It's still coded as STEMI. And I wrote STEMI versus non-STEMI right here because I needed to know that. A lot of times you don't want to highlight all this stuff. You see what I'm saying? This is the best way to highlight it. You just go straight down. To keep your book nice and clean. You understand? You don't want all that stuff in your book. Trust me. You won't even understand where to start at when it kind of test taking day. I'm just being honest with you. Right up in here, verse effect, poisoning and underdosing and toxic effect. Please remember, you need to highlight this, because if you code it wrong, they're gonna look at it as wrong. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna miss it. You're gonna miss it. Let me show y'all something else before I get up out this section. The history. The history of personal and family history within the Z codes. They're going to ask you a true or false question. And this is how you're going to determine if it's true or false. You can go more in depth with it on the actual Z code. You see what I'm saying? And I'm gonna show you what I'm talking about. Alright, so you see I turned to Z codes, right? Health, stat, history. That is how you use your guideline, y'all. You gotta know how to use your guideline. I'm gonna tell you something else. A lot of times we don't know how to answer these questions. But I'm going to show you something. So say for instance they asking about the cartilage. And it going to sound funny because I'm talking, with a code. Say for instance they asking me about the cartilage. I was looking for my pen last night. It's in the book. Alright. So say for instance they asking about the cartilage. And I don't know where to find it at. All I did was turn to my musculoskeleton section, that chapter, right? And I went through here and I found cartilage. It tells you the definition. The cartilage are flexible, non-vascular structures composed of connective tissues and found mainly in joints. And it tell you how it can be categorized. And I made sure I put soft and flexible because in the book it says that. And y'all, you got all the other stuff in here too, and they're gonna ask you this question right here. Let me go back to it right here. They're gonna ask you about that too. They're gonna ask you about that. They gonna ask you about that. I just wanted to show y'all so y'all can get used to hurry up and finding stuff. The next couple days I'm gonna try to go over how to tab your book, how to get to stuff quicker, knowing how to phrase your text real quick. When I say phrase, I'm talking about, hold on. Alright, I'm back. I'm not feeling too good. But when I say phrase, I'm talking about content clues. You know how they taught us in English class how to justify your question, break it down. I'm going to teach you that. You need to know some of these words that they're going to use and how to read between the lines. Sometimes they might not tell you, like, say for instance, you got total, complete, and partial, radical, all that type of stuff, right? They might not even say the word partial. You see what I'm saying? They might say a part. They use a part of it, or they excision a part of it, or a piece of it. They might say it like that, not necessarily saying a partial. You got to know how to read between the lines. I'm gonna show y'all some tips and tricks on how to go through your CPT book and know where to find everything at. Because I'm gonna tell you something, the CPT book really give you the answers. The only thing it's not giving you the answers to is anything dealing with the Medicaid part of it. Medicare part of it. They give you a few medical terms, but it's your job to go in there and put the rest of it that goes with that section. I'm going to just show you how I did it. And I'm going to show you how my book is neat while I'm doing it. Because one thing I don't like is all that bull crap. But I'm going to cut the video out. I'm really not feeling that good. But I am going to show y'all some stuff, okay? Give me a sec.